All right, welcome back. As we all know, of course, the elections are very much in the air. Campaigns will soon kick off in a couple of weeks, and then it will be full-blown political season up until February or even May of 2019. We're talking a lot about, voting and trying to get young people out there to cast their votes and make sure they have their voice heard. And I have here with me today two first-time voters continuing our series, My First Vote. Aisha, Salaudeen, and Dapo Thomas are both here with me. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. You're a first-time voter. Why have you decided to vote this time? Why is this so important for you?
Well, mine is more of age, but
Okay.
the reason why I want to vote this time is because I think it's important for all of us, and not just me, to sort of exercise our democratic rights. We're supposed to vote. We're supposed to participate in choosing our representatives in government. So I think there's just some form of power that comes with knowing that you actually had a say in, choosing who is your president or your governor.
Yeah.
So that's
off air. You had told me that when I asked why you voting, you said because you don't have a choice. Do you find that a lot of young people believe that as well?
Well, it's hard to tell because then it depends on the said individual. But I personally think that for a very long time we've had administrations that you just know can do better than what they've done, and so for you to not vote, it's sort of like a signal to say that you're okay with that. So that's why my answer was I don't have a choice, because I believe that we can do so much better than what we've had, over the past years, and that's why I said I don't have a choice than to participate here.
You have been eligible before, but you're voting for the first time. What changed for you this time?
Well, basically, I want to have an input in the affairs of the country, and the only way I can have an input is by voting in elected leaders, casting my vote. I exercise this civic duty, and once I exercise this civic duty, I am sure that, okay, I have a moral compass to judge, criticize, and highlight that, okay, government is wrong. But if I'm sitting at home and the government of the day is not performing, I have no moral right to talk because I have not been in the process. I'm not part of the process. And as Desmond Tutu said, he said, in situations of injustice, if you're you can't be neutral, because once you're neutral, automatically you're on the side of the oppressor. So if the government of the day is bad and I'm neutral, that means I'm supporting the government and I'm happy with it. And so going forward, if I want to be part of the process, the running affairs of my country, I have to cast my vote.
Yeah, same question I asked her now. Do you find that young people around you are thinking this way too? Because there's a belief that a lot of people wanted to register this time. A lot of people tried to, but there's also a good number who just believe there's no point. What did you get a sense of around you?
Well, optically, I can say that people actually want to vote. The political awareness in our country is high. There's a high spike in it. People want to participate. People want to vote. However, most people are downcast about it. Most people feel that their votes won't count. But like I usually say, politics is a game of numbers. Your votes count. If I vote, you vote, he votes, and everyone votes. We come together in our numbers and we vote. We can possibly change the outcome of an election. And that's why I look at the Osun State election, the narrative. The margin between the party that won the election and the party that lost, the runner-up, was 482 points. And before the election, INEC said the people that have not collected their PVCs prior to the election were for over 400,000. So you can see there's a disparity between people that registered and people that ended up voting. So we need to find a way that people who give political opinions or are interested in the process also come out to vote, so that we can ensure that we have political pundits transfer or transform to real election deciders at the poll.
Yeah. Let's talk about candidates now, and this is not just talking about the presidency, because a lot of times we tend to focus too much on the center, but it's also a case of most people not even necessarily knowing the candidates outside of the presidency. People just want to vote for president and go home, How do you identify who you decide to vote for? What sort of qualities are you looking at? And does it differ from, like, say, what you want from a president, from what you want from a local government chairman? What sort of qualities do you look at before you vote?
The first thing I would say is that while there's a lot of political awareness, there still needs to be more, because people tend to just focus on the president. And I always say that those at the lower levels of government are actually more important than just...
Because the president is so far removed
Exactly. So your local government chairman is actually closer to you than the president. You most likely get contact with him easier than the president. And so you have to pay attention to that. You ask some people like, what local government do you belong in? They don't know, or what ward. So those are the little things that they have to start with. So in terms of figuring out who they want to, every local government has an office. Even if you feel like you're not going to get enough information online, go to find out where your nearest local government is. Go in there, have a walk someday. Just find out how things are even going on there at first, and then find out who the candidates are, who is contesting, who wants to be chairman, who wants to be a councillor. These little things. Do a Google search on them. They always have ward rounds. Do a Google search on them, listen to what they're saying, read up on their policies if they have any. Just these little things at the local level help you to be able to make your decision. So it's then when you have all of that information gathered, it's left to you to decide what exactly you're looking for in a candidate and sort of go for them based on what you want. But the emphasis here is for us to pay attention to the local level. It is more important than even the president or some governors.
Yeah.
That's
How much of that rests with the politicians? Because I know apathy for a lot of people. People say, oh, I don't even know who's contesting most times, besides sometimes the governor and the president. Sometimes even the House of Reps members, people say, oh, I don't even know who the contestants are. Is it a politician issue? Are they not campaigning properly enough? Or are we not asking questions enough?
Well, I think they are campaigning properly because obviously they cannot win the election if they don't campaign properly. And the fault lies in the electorate. They know these things, but they're not concerned about it. Like the pressure is always on the presidency. However, they forget that state governments also receive allocations, they also receive subventions, and they receive a lot of money to do a lot of constituency projects that can affect the country positively. If you look at healthcare, local governments provide healthcare, local government can fix some roads, but we tend to always look at the presidency for everything. We always look at the federal government, and we let these guys off the hook. We need to keep more attention on these guys because that's why the area of restructuring, people talk about that and everything. We have to keep these people accountable. So the politicians are there, they do their campaign. We just have to be able to put pressure on them through our vote and put our leaders and make them be accountable for these things. So when someone that wants to vote comes out and he sees all the positions, all the attainable offices, he should be determined to say, okay, let me hear your manifesto. Let me see what you're talking about. Are you talking about reforms, or are you just coming to undermine the opposition? Nigerian political parties are built to always undermine or throw shades at political parties. They never come out on their own issue-based campaigns, and that's what we need right now. We need issue-based campaigns, and even when we have that, we'll be able to make better decisions on our candidates. Yeah.